How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an Elite episode for Nikola Jokic. This was initially intended for his 22nd birthday back in February 19th, but I think in going through the old episodes, I think I lost it. So for right now, I'm going to do an episode for what he has done in his NBA career up until right now, as he is in the middle between his age 27 and age 28, or his age 26 and age 27 season. He is coming off of two back-to-back MVP seasons, not to mention he's made the last four All-Star games. He's made the All-NBA team the last 4 years as well. This is a player that ever since he's really shown his dominance and he's really slowed the NBA down to his pace, he really has established himself as possibly on a path, if not already being on that path, to being one of the best NBA players to have ever played, despite having not won a championship at this point in his career. If you're not familiar with the Serbian giant, he stands at about 6'11", weighs about 284 pounds. That's as much as Zion Williamson, not the knock to Zion. He doesn't really run very fast, but the thing about him is that he is so intelligent. He knows how to move an offense through him, despite the fact that he's 7 feet tall. He's one of the best passers in the NBA. Of course, he can dribble incredibly well, not to mention he can really shoot from anywhere on the court. He is this, I guess he is the superstar that this generation has really kind of been waiting for. And considering he's literally come all the way to the United States to prove that he's one of the best in the world, I can't wait to see what Nikola Jokic's career is going to look like when it's all said and done. I do have a good feeling that he's going to be a Hall of Famer at this point. Now I finally digress. Originally coming from Serbia, he was born in former Yugoslavia back in 1995. He would go on to play for the Mega Basket Club, which is a Serbian men's basketball super club, all the way back in 2012, back when he was a teenager. It would take him a few years while there to work his way up to being the league MVP all the way in 2015. Not to mention he was named the ABA League's top prospect after his 3 years while playing there. He would go on, like I said, as a kid, essentially, his last year there being his age 19 season. He would establish himself as one of the top players in the ABA, and he would go on to enter his name in the 2015-16 NBA draft. His rookie season, in the draft, he was drafted during the Taco Bell commercial. That is the running gag. He was taken with the 41st overall pick in the 2014 NBA draft. He was the only player drafted in the second round of his draft who would make an all-star game. This is the same year where Andrew Wiggins was taken number 1 overall by the Cavaliers. And this year with the Warriors, he finally won his first championship. Not to mention that Joel Embiid, the other elite center from his draft class, was taken with the 3rd pick in that draft. Just to give you a little bit of sense, Julius Randle and Zach LaVine were the other all-stars taken in Nikola Jokic's draft. But since he was drafted in the second round by the Denver Nuggets, he has, of course, been a member since. His very first season with the Denver Nuggets was his age 20 season in 2015-16. In his rookie season, he would work his way into the starting lineup, starting 55 of the 80 games he played, in a season in which the Nuggets would go 33-43. His first season there was Michael Malone's first season there, as Michael Malone is still the head coach. His very first season would see Nikola Jokic average 21, nearly 22 minutes a game, the least amount of minutes he averaged, of course. He would average 10 points a game while shooting 51% from the field. He shot 33% from 3 while shooting at least 1 3 attempt a game as a center. He would go on to shoot 81% from the foul line, so he was shooting pretty well across the board. Alongside his 10 points, he went on to average 7 rebounds, 2.4 assists. He averaged a steal, and he averaged half a block per game. So that was just his rookie season, as people were starting to get more aware of the type of player he was. His second season in Denver would be his age 21 season in 2016-17. In his second year there, while still fighting for a starting spot, he would start 59 of the 73 games he played in a season in which the Nuggets would go 40-42. They would win 7 more games than the prior season, as they failed to make the playoffs that year. Nikola Jokic will see his minutes per game jump up from 21.7 to 27.9 as he averaged just over 6 more minutes a game. He would average 16 and a half points, which is 6 more points than the previous season. He averages 16 points while shooting 58% from the field. He shot 32% from three while taking nearly 2 threes a game, making more than half a three a game. He would go on to shoot 82.5% from the foul line, second year in a row as a center. He shot 80% from the free throw line. Alongside his nearly 17 points a game, he averaged 9.8 rebounds. First time he averaged at least 9 rebounds. He would average 4.9 assists, doubling what he did the year before. He would average 0.8 steals and 0.8 blocks. He wouldn't really get any hardware following that season, but people were starting to become more aware of what he was capable of. Not to mention, this came after the season in which Serbia would finish with the silver medal in the Olympics. But this, of course, would transition into Jokic's third season in Denver, the season before he became an all-star. In his last season before he became a full-time starter for the Nuggets, in his age 22 season in 2017-18, Nikola Jokic would start 73 of the 75 games he played for a Denver Nuggets team that went 46-36. They had the 9th best record in the West as they missed the playoffs for the 5th year in a row, even though they've won 6 more games than the prior year. In that third season, Nikola Jokic would see himself average 32.6 minutes a game, the first time he averaged at least 30 minutes a game. He would average 18 and a half points while shooting nearly 50% from the field. He shot 39.5% from three while shooting at least three-pointers a game, making 1.5. That would be the most threes he would make per game in a season. He would go on to shoot 85% from the foul line. This would be the third year in a row he shot 80, and the first time he shot at least 85 as a center, I might remind you. Alongside his 18 and a half points, he averaged 10.7 rebounds, making it the first season he would average a double-double in this league. He averaged 6.1 assists, the first time that he would average at least 6 assists. As a center, by the way, he averaged 1.2 steals, making it the second year in his career he would average at least a steal, and he went on to average 0.8 blocks. And following that 2017-18 season, the Nuggets would, of course, miss the playoffs. But following that, Nikola Jokic would, of course, enter that superstar realm, and no one would really see, and he wouldn't even really look back. His fourth season with the Denver Nuggets, which would be his very first all-star season, was the very first season he would start every game he played. He would start all 80 of the games he played for a Nuggets team that would end up going 54-28. They had the second best record in the West, and this is the best record that the Nuggets have had since they've had Nikola Jokic. In his second season being a full-time starter, he would go on, or I guess his first season being a full-time starter. In his first all-star season, he would average 31.3 minutes a game, a whole minute less than he did the year before. He would average 20 points a game for the very first time in his career, all while shooting 51% from the field. He shot 30% from three, which is actually his career low, but he still made at least a three-pointer a game. He still went on to shoot 82% from the foul line, making it all 4 years that to start his career that he would shoot at least 80% from the foul line. Alongside his 20 points, he averaged 10.8 rebounds, making it his second straight double-double season in his first season of 20 and 10. He would average 7.3 assists. That would be a career high for him at that point. The first time he would cross the 7 assist threshold. The second time he averaged at least 6 as a center. He averaged 1.4 steals, which is the second most he's ever put up in a season. And the third time in his first 4 seasons, he would average at least a steal. He averaged 0.7 blocks on the year as well. Once that season came to an end, Nikola Jokic would be named an all-star for the first time in his career in year 4. Not to mention he was be named to the All-NBA first team for the very first time in his career as well. After being regarded by one of the best by one of the best players in the NBA. The Nuggets would go on to beat the Spurs in the first round. They beat them in 7 games before losing in the conference semifinal in 7 to the Portland Trailblazers. That season would have, or that playoff series would of course end with the Warriors making it out of the West. They would end up losing to the Toronto Raptors in 6 games. This, of course, transitions into Nikola Jokic's 5th season with the Denver Nuggets. In his 5th season there, his age 24 season in 2019-2020, he would start all 73 of the games he played in a season in which the Denver Nuggets would go 46-27. This is the season in which the end of it got postponed and cut off due to COVID, but they did go on and finish it in the bubble. They didn't play the whole season, but they still finished with the third best record in the playoff, or in the regular season that year. And of course, going into the playoffs, Nikola Jokic would of course be named an All-Star that year for the second year in a row. He would go on to make the All-NBA second team. It is the only time he's made the All-NBA second team in his career. Not to, like I said, it's the second All-NBA team he would make. In the 32 minutes he would average a game, he would go on to average 19.9 points per game while shooting 53% from the field. He shot 31% from three while making over a three per game at center. He went on to shoot nearly 82% from the foul line, making it the first 5 years of his career he shot at least 80% from the foul line as a center. Alongside his 19.9 points, he would average 9.7 rebounds, making it the first 4 of his 5 years he would average at least 9 rebounds. He would average 7 assists, making it the second year in a row he would average 7 assists. He would average 1.2 steals, making it the 4th season of his first 5 that he would average at least a steal. And once that season would come to an end, like I said, the Nuggets would go on in the bubble in Orlando to beat the Jazz in 7 games after they were trailing 3-1. They would go on to beat the Los Angeles Clippers in the conference semifinals after they were trailing the Clippers 3-1 as well. The furthest that Nikola Jokic has gone in the playoffs would be in the 2020 playoffs, where they went to the conference finals and they would eventually lose to the eventual NBA champs, the LA Lakers. But of course, following that would lead to the 2 best seasons of Nikola Jokic's career, going into year 6 in his age 25 season in 2020-2021. This was another shortened season in order to get the NBA back on track. Nikola Jokic would start all 72 of the games he played in a season in which the Nuggets would go 47-25. They would have one more win than the prior shortened season. However, in this year, they would go on and finish with the 3rd best record in the West as they made the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row under Michael Malone. In this season, Nikola Jokic would average a career high 34.6 minutes per game. He would go on to average 26.4 points per game. The second time in his career, he would average at least 20. And the first time he would cross the 25 points per game threshold. He did all this while shooting 56% from the field, which of course would be 5 of 6 years he shot at least 50%. This will be his second time in his first 6 years that he shot at least 55% from the field. He shot 38% from 3, which would be the second time he shot at least 35% from 3 in his 6-year career as a center. He went on to shoot 86.8% from the foul line, which to this date is his career high, and the second time that he would shoot at least 85%. He would go on to average 10.8 rebounds alongside his 26.4 rebounds, making it his 3rd career double-double season and his 2nd career 2010 season. He would average 8.3 assists, making it the 4th year in a row he averaged at least 6 assists as a center. His 8.3 assists are the only time he's crossed the 8 assist threshold to this date. He went on to average 1.3 steals, making it the 4th year in a row and the 5th of his first 6 that he would average at least a steal in this league, and he would average 0.7 blocks. At the end of that 2021 season, he would go on to be named an All-Star for the 3rd year in a row. For the second time in his career, he would go on to make the All-NBA first team, as the last time he made it was in 2019. This would be the 3rd All-NBA team he made in a row, not to mention he would be named the NBA's most valuable player. Once he was given his very first MVP and the Nuggets made it to the playoffs, they would end up beating the Trailblazers 4-2 in the first round before losing in the conference finals to the Suns. The Suns would go all the way to the NBA finals as they lost in 6 games to the Milwaukee Bucks after winning the first 2 games of the finals. So that's how that season would end. And this, of course, would transition into Jokic's 7th and most recent season with the Denver Nuggets to date. In his age 26 season in 2021-22, Nikola Jokic would go on to be named to the All-Star team for the 4th year in a row, as he was given his 2nd consecutive MVP. He was named to the first team for the 2nd year in a row and for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Not to mention, in the middle of the season, he was named Serbia's best player of the year for 2021. This last season, he would go on to average 33.5 minutes per game, dwarfed only by his first MVP season. So averaging a whole minute less than his first MVP season. He would average 27.1 points per game, almost a full point prior than what he did the year before. He did this while shooting a career high of 58% from the field. This would be his sixth time in his first 7 years he shot at least 50. In the 1 year, he shot 49.9, so that basically counts. This would be the third year in his first 7 in which he would shoot at least 55% from the field. He went on to shoot 33.7% from 3 while making over a 3 per game. He went on to shoot 81% from the foul line, making it 7 straight years he shot at least 80% from the foul line. Alongside his career high 27.1 points per game, he would average 13.8 rebounds, which is a career high, as that's 3 more than what he did his last MVP season. His assist numbers would dip a bit from 8.3 to 7.9. However, it will be half a decade straight of averaging at least 6 assists a game, and it will be 4 years in a row where he averaged at least 7. He averaged 1.5 steals per game, which is a career high for him. It will be the 6th time in his first 7 years he averaged at least a steal in this league, and he would average a career high 0.9 blocks per game this past season. Not to mention that in addition to that, he would go on to lead the NBA in triple doubles this year. He had 19 of them. He's had a double-digit amount of triple doubles for the last 5 years in the NBA. As also, he led the NBA in defensive rebounds and total rebounds this year. This is the first year that he would have at least 1,000. But of course, following this season, that would see Nikola Jokic be named an All-Star, first-team All-NBA, and the MVP in back-to-back seasons. He would go and help the Nuggets in the playoffs, but they would lose in the first round to the eventual champions, Golden State Warriors. And with that said, I do want to thank the Pro Basketball Reference website, ESPN, and NBA. And I do apologize for being later on this than I am with the other ones. I swear I made an episode for Jokic, but I think it just got lost. But I think the good thing about doing it in this order is that I can always catch up. With that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. This was supposed to be for February 19th, but of course, things change. But the good thing about Jokic is he is still getting better. By his next birthday, I can't wait to see what he does. But until then, thanks for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.